And a good evening from me, a good morning to those on the other side of the world. Welcome to the Good for Business show. I am your host, Michelle J. Raymond, and joined by the wonderful Leah Turner. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
I know,
It's
it's really
nice to be
cool.
reunited.
I know. And this is, my opportunity to kind of revisit what we started back, 3 months ago or something like that. I think it was
March?
when we first crossed paths. And so I wanted to have this opportunity. So I appreciate you coming to talk about how can we use influence as a force for good. Quite often, I believe personally that influencers get a bad rap, or the whole term has got such negative connotations, but I want to challenge that a little bit. And who better to challenge it with me? But for people who somehow have been living under a rock that may not have come across you before, tell us a bit about you. What do you do and who do you help?
So my name's Leah Turner, and I've been using LinkedIn for about 2.5 years. I was running a typing business to start with, and then due to COVID, I took a different direction and started helping other people to learn how to use LinkedIn to get business for themselves. I was doing it very successfully for my initial business. So it seemed a natural step to try and help other people to do the same. I predominantly work with like legal professionals, recruiters, HR people. They seem to be my bread and butter at the moment. But I also work with lots of other people to work one-to-one in groups, digital course, corporate training, to help them to utilize LinkedIn as human beings and build trust and grow their brand awareness and ultimately attract clients through human connection and trust building.
Yeah, perfect. And, we're so aligned in how we go around things. And what I love the most is a lot of LinkedIn trainers, we kind of theoretically do the same thing, but we go around it in so many different ways. And I love to kind of get into that a little bit. So, for those that, for some reason haven't come across you, so you're sitting at the latest count I think I saw was around 150,000 followers. So, in my world, you're an influencer. How does that make you feel if I call you an influencer? Are you comfortable with that, or does that make you go, not so sure, Michelle?
Yeah, no, I don't really like the term. I don't like the term because of the connotations that it gets. I don't consider myself an influencer because I don't promote products. And I always consider an influencer as somebody who will advertise products for people and influence their sort of buying decisions in that respect. Whereas for me, I think it would be fair to say that I'm influential, but my product is me, and what I sell is my service. I'm not doing that for other people. So I think that does make quite for me, that's the definition that I give, is an influencer is somebody who basically advertises for other people, uses their reach and their fame to sell products that aren't their own. So yeah, it does make me a little bit uncomfortable, and it makes me uncomfortable that so many people are paying attention to everything that I say. That's incredibly weird, and I don't think I'll ever get used to that. But I'm just kind of having to get used to people referring to me as that. It's not what I went out to be. I never came onto LinkedIn wanting to be influential or an influencer. I just wanted to make money for my business. So yeah, but I'm also very uncomfortable with the term thought leader. So maybe it's a me problem.
So what term are you comfortable with? Because it's, you do hold a certain place on the platform, by generating a certain number of followers. It doesn't happen by accident. Is there a term that you are comfortable with that you would call yourself?
I just think of myself as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman. Um, I'm on a business platform to build business relationships, which have evolved into friendships, a lot of them. But it wouldn't have ever happened if it wasn't for the business angle. And for me, I am just a businesswoman who's got more followers than the average person. Um, but then, that's part of why I think I've been successful, is I haven't been chasing the influencer status. I've been chasing numbers of followers and all of that. And I think that's probably come across quite strongly in what I do, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. So, for me personally, I wanted to have a conversation with you today that's not necessarily around LinkedIn features and functions. There's plenty of conversation that goes on around that. I wanted to talk about what are the things that we can do to build influence outside of features and functions, although we might use them. So, one of the core things that I think that you need to build influence, as opposed to being an influencer, is that you need to build trust. So, how, if I'm on the platform and I'm starting out, how do you think that people start building trust?
I think the key one that everybody talks about is consistency, is showing up regularly on the platform and being seen. Uh, and that's whether you're posting content or you're commenting on other people's content. Showing up on a regular basis helps to build that familiarity, and people are much more likely to trust someone that they feel familiar with. Showing your face is a really crucial one. It's very hard to build trust with someone whose face you've never seen, or you only see a very teeny tiny outdated picture on their profile. So not that I'm saying you need to be posting selfies all the time, but you wouldn't go networking without your head attached. So show your face, so people can get used to seeing your face. And, video helps a lot with that as well. Doing what you say you're going to do. So following through with things. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you're, and I think the giving side of things really builds trust as well. If people get the sense that you're just trying to sell and it's all about what you want, they're less likely to trust you. But if they see that you're prepared to share, to give, to support other people, whether that's through the comments they see you leaving on other people's content, whether that's through the posts you're inviting lots of engagement from people and asking people about themselves as well as talking about you and what you do. I think that builds that sort of community sense where they see that you're there to help them as much as you're there to get help for yourself, or you're prepared to buy as much as you are to sell. For me, it's been an ongoing part of it, is that unlike some people that have the following I've now established, they don't get involved in the comments. They don't necessarily answer their own DMs. And I'm not going to lie, like I do have a VA that helps me with my DMs, that filters through things that I need to deal with and things that I don't. But I don't, like, if it's a personal response to something, it's always me, always me. So I think those things get lost as people grow on the platform sometimes, and they think, oh, it's not important. But actually, me being out and commenting and replying to comments on my own content, but also engaging on other people's content regularly, shows that this isn't the Leah show. This is about them as much as it is me, because I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for the people that have elevated me and supported me along the way. So I owe it to them to offer that support in return.
And I would say, like, absolutely consistency. I'm, all with you on that one. I think one of the words that people would describe you is that has built the trust is the authenticity. So it's when people would describe you, they would say that you are the person that keeps it real. You tell it how it is, warts and all. This is my life, with all its like ups, downs, under, round, twists and turns. And do you think that vulnerability / authenticity powers up the amount of, or I guess the speed at which people trust you?
I think it does, because it's easier to trust someone when you feel like you know who they are, warts and all. If someone appears too perfect, it's like when something's too good to be true, it usually is, right? So if you present yourself as someone that is too good to be true, it's hard for people to trust you because they're waiting to find out what's the catch. So I think, and we're all the same like that. If someone offers us something, like, here's this thing, no strings attached, free this, free that, we go, hold on a minute, where are you going to catch me out here? And so I think, like, being able to I don't care if people think that, I shouldn't share that kind of stuff. I think it makes me more accessible and more relatable. And people just see me like this, like, weird, awkward, kind of quirky person. But that is true. That's really who I am. And I think that does make me more trustworthy. And who am I trying to impress? Like, why not? why not show those sides of me? Because it will be beneficial to me to not seem perfect, because it builds that trust quicker.
Yeah. So my question that kind of leads on from this, do you think that your authenticity is your superpower on LinkedIn? Or do you think that there's times where it holds things back?
No, I don't, I mean, I find the word such a strange word, because when you label it like that, it's like something people need to try to be. And I'm like, authenticity isn't something that you can be. Authentic is what you are when you stop trying to be anything else. And I never went onto LinkedIn trying to impress anybody or wanting to be impressive. I just went on and was like, just
Here
roll
I
with
am.
it, see what happens, and talk about, the journey that goes along. So I don't really think of it as a superpower. It's just who I am naturally, and probably partly just because I'm too lazy to give a shit about trying to be someone else. It's very difficult to try to pretend to be somebody else. It's a lot of energy to expend, and I
Yeah.
don't have that much spare energy when I've got a small child. So no, I don't really think of it as a superpower. I think being comfortable, I don't think the authenticity itself is a superpower, but I think the ability to not really care if people like it or not is probably more the superpower. Is my own sort of security and self-esteem that says, I don't care if you don't like me. Being who I am is who I am, and love it or hate it makes no difference to me. And I think that indifference, and sort of being numb to the criticism, that's probably more of a superpower than anything.
Because let's be clear, what comes with the upside of having that many followers means that you also get the attention of people that are a little bit on the side of crazy, the trolls, as we'll collectively call them, and they're known. Does that have an impact on you? Like, are you superwoman, super proof from all of that? Because I have this, kind of feeling that people think you've got all these followers, you deserve it almost, or you're used to it, or you're in the public, like it's your fault, like it's not, like kind of some of the onus comes back on you. I don't agree with that, but I just wonder if that's your experience of having so much influence. Do you come up
Yeah,
against people just for the sake of it?
people do sort of say, oh, well, it goes with the territory. And it is kind of like, well, yeah, but I didn't sign up to be an actress or a TV celebrity, or, I'm not, I haven't ever kind of chosen this path. It sort of happened. And because I have a business that now relies on it, it's a necessary evil. So it's not really a life that I chose. I'm actually surprisingly introverted. And so I find it's been a constant struggle for me to get used to being sort of so visible.
Mm,
I'm not Superwoman. Sometimes the comments do affect me, but not for very long,
mm,
because I know that those troll comments are never really about me. They always come from a place of hurt or insecurity or insignificance that those people have. I've had people that have trolled me for months on end, that have tried to get money from me, that have made threats on my life, who have threatened my son, who just say nasty things, or who are waiting in the wings, waiting for me to fail, and then will squeal with glee that they think that I've tripped up. Like, that doesn't feel good. But then I just think, well, how sad? Like,
mm.
how sad? I'm a single parent trying to make a better life for me and my son, and trying to make other people's lives better along the way. And if you can begrudge that, that's just really sad, isn't it? Because ultimately that's what it all comes back to: is I'm a businesswoman following the money, following what will make my life better, what will make my son's life better, and where I possibly can, using the platform that I have to lift others. I don't always get it right, and I don't profess to always get it right, but I do my best, and I'm constantly learning and doing better. Um, and I just think anybody that sits and watches that and has any kind of negative opinion on it, I just feel very sorry for them. They can't be happy.
Get a life. One thing that you said just before is that you don't have the energy to put into being something other than yourself. I had a personal experience of how this played out in my life on LinkedIn last year. It was a pretty big year for me personally, starting out, setting out at the beginning of the year with a goal to be the company pages person and, the expert. And I got there, right? And I get to Christmas and I'm like worn out. I can tick the box to say company page expert, or as Lynette Johnson calls me, company page queen. I've been called all kinds of things recently. But what happens is I get there and I'm exhausted because there's this part of me that's like being an
Hold
expert.
on.
I got a dog too. I'll keep talking. I'll put you on mute. Yeah, I've got this like part of me where I'm being an expert, but on the other flip side to that is that I am really not being me, the whole me, the authentic me that cares about people, cares about the community, cares about helping other people. And so for me personally, the layers that I've been able to take away, which weren't me pretending to be something other than me last year, it was just this year I've really been me. So I bring the company page expertise and I bring the Michelle that cares about community, Michelle that wants to help other people, and I think that's the thing that you and I have in common. So besides dogs that bark, don't worry, I've got a puppy in the background that I'm just praying that stays quiet. So don't stress too much about that one. So one of the things that I don't think people realize, just how much you go around not actually professing it or telling people or shouting about it, but helping other people to rise, and how you strategically help those people, not in order to get something for yourself, because I don't think it's self-centered. I think it's a genuine thing that you do it. And it could be as simple as a post. It could be as simple as coming on somebody's live. How do you think that people that are listening into this, what kind of actions do you think that they can take to help others rise? Like, how do you do this on LinkedIn? Because that's totally in your control and nothing to do with the algorithm. So how can they do it?
There's so many different ways, and it can be as simple as saying yes to being on somebody's podcast. And please don't flood me with podcast requests as a result of me saying that, because I'm so booked up for podcasts, it's unreal. But it can be as simple as leaving a comment on somebody's post, right? If you see a post that's clearly about business, that somebody's trying to advertise their services, leave a comment. It might not be a post that's specific to you, that's even really relevant. If you just leave a comment saying, not something I need right now, but sounds like a great offer, commenting for my network, you help push that post further. And that may lead to that person getting seen by somebody who does need their services, and you line their pockets. It's taken you a couple of seconds to do it. It's easy, right? You can even set a keyboard shortcut, commenting for my network. Hope you get something soon. Every job post that you see. So you see someone looking for work, comment, help. It's because it does benefit that person, but it also benefits your reputation, because some of your network will see those comments, and some of that person's network will see those comments and see your headline. It might increase your profile view. You might even get a client because they go, oh, they seem like a nice person, they're stopping to help somebody. That's a decent thing to do. So I'd say definitely the least you can do is drop comments somewhere. Or if you notice, I've done things in the past where I've noticed someone from my network. It's harder to do now, but certainly previously, I noticed that somebody, I haven't seen their content for a while. And I go, oh, I haven't seen that person for a while. Check their feed. Oh, they haven't actually posted for a month. So just drop them a message. Hope everything's okay. Right? Like one of my clients called me, one of my clients messaged me, and I knew that they'd had some personal problems recently. And I said, look, do you want to chat? And I just gave them my phone number, and we had a little chat on the phone and helped them to see things from a slightly different angle, and hopefully to make some decisions moving forward. You can't help everybody, but you can help somebody every day. And it can be in the smallest way, or it could just be, there was a few people that really wanted to join my membership, and I knew that they couldn't afford it, but they would super benefit from it. So I gave them free membership. And I've given away my digital course occasionally, never to people who ask, but people who I know it would be beneficial. And I've just said, you know what? Here you go, have access to it. And I know that kindness will come back to me eventually, but that's not why I do it. So I think, some clients, they're struggling to make a banner, and I go, oh, I'll just do it. Like, there's loads of little things that you can do, and it doesn't have to be like helping financially, like donating to charities and stuff like that. It can be as simple as, worked with someone recently, leave them a recommendation, but don't just do it on LinkedIn, do it on Google as well. Leave a review. You can lift other people in the simplest of ways. Even if, do you know what, they post something, say, a personal thing or a picture, and say, do you know what, you look great today, and not in a creepy way, but just say, you look really happy, or something along those lines, something that's not creepy. Don't comment on their appearance, as in nice eyes,
Oh,
because
we
that's
won't go there.
but you can pay somebody a compliment their writing, compliment the graphics, that they've a real compliment, something that you actually mean. But like, if I try and do it, if I see someone wearing something beautiful in the street, I'll just be like, oh my God, I absolutely love that skirt. It's gorgeous. And like, they light up. And I don't do it all the time, but when I truly mean it, I'll drop a compliment, and you just like, you watch that person light up, and that person will remember that for the rest of the day, if not the rest of the week.
And I think maybe even longer than that. For me, it's what goes around comes around. And, there are a lot of things that I do that may not be for anything that I think in the foreseeable future that it may directly impact or come back around. But I don't know who's listening or who's in a room mentioning my name when I'm asleep. That's my favorite thing. If I hear an opportunity or see an opportunity that I think someone in my network it would really be good for, tag them, send them to it, promote them, back them, recommend them. All of these kind of things make such a big difference. And, people have said to me, oh, Michelle, like, you've grown so much in just, like the last 12, 18 months. Like, how did you do it? And I go, it's not, the content necessarily. And it's not this, it's how much I support other people to grow. And that just comes back at me, not because I asked them to, like, because that has a feeling of I'm doing it in order to get something back. And I'm genuinely, my business motto is, good for business, business for good, and so I've got to put that out there, and it comes back around because I'm now surrounded by people who do the same thing.
I
And
find
that's
it gives
where,
me confidence. Like, the more I can lift other people and watch them rise, I go, like, that feels so good. It sounds so trite, but for me, like, the financial gains that I make in business are obviously life changing for me and my son. Going from minimum wage to what we are now is transformative for us. But I would give it all up tomorrow, because I was still happy in our life before. I'd give it all up tomorrow if the platform that I have didn't actually allow me to work with people and help them and support them and help other people grow, because that's the bit that feels really good. That's the bit that when I leave a group training session or I leave a one-to-one and someone's absolutely beaming and full of confidence, that's what actually lights me up. And if I couldn't actually use the platform for that purpose, it wouldn't be worth the work for me. And I know it sounds like, oh, I'm being one of those too good to be true, cheesy influencer type Miss World speech, but that is genuinely true, because for me it's the impact that really brings me up as well. My confidence has increased exponentially over the last 2 years. So when if I see somebody who's written a really great post, and I go and I'll message them, or I've been to their profile and seen they've got an amazing about section, or their cover video is really amazing, I will message them and I'll say, I love your about section. It made me laugh so much, or really resonated with that thing that you posted. And they go, oh, wow, thanks. Because they see my profile following and they're like, damn. And she's impressed. Now, it's nice to receive those compliments anyway, but I know there's a certain weight behind them because of the credibility I've built up. So if I can drop a compliment like that, guarantee their next post is going to smash as well, because they go, I'm on the right track. And you can help guide people. Like, and I just love it. Like, that for me is the best thing of everything that I do.
And I don't think that this is even a numbers conversation that we're having, because I don't care how many followers you have, and I know you don't either, but you can make a huge difference as a micro influencer in your industry, in your niche, for your target audience. You don't need millions of followers. You need to be that person that is top of mind every single time. And how do you do that? Support other people to grow, make sure that you're visible, and genuine and authentic are the two words that come to me. So this is the kind of thing that I hate on LinkedIn as an
Unless you're
example.
genuinely and authentically an asshole, then don't do that.
There's plenty of those. But, one of the things that I hate is when you try and follow someone else's script on how to do things. And so I call it duck, duck, goose. So this is where someone says, don't just connect and spam, right? So don't connect and sell, pitch slap, whatever you want to call it, right? And so someone else said, here's what we'll do: two warm up comments, and then we'll send you a connection request, and then whack. And so it just feels like, oh my God, you've just done this. None of it's real. Go away. So when you do it in order to get to something, it just smells of that. And it just, people want to run the other way. So I think when you do things genuinely, it can be in the background. You don't have to do it visibly. It could be in DMs. A simple message could really make someone's day, because as a business owner myself, I have days where I'm like, oh my God, is this even working? What am I doing? Someone might have said no to a quote that I've sent out. That sends me into a spin of doubt. And how quickly I come back from that might be because someone sends me a message and says, Michelle, I love your post, or thanks for helping me with this, or I heard this conversation on Clubhouse and they were talking about company pages, so I told them about you. All those kind of things lift me up just as much as what I'm able to help others. But I want to talk about how we actually probably more formally cross paths, because, we kind of circled in different orbits. We
Different
came
time
together.
zones.
Yeah, time zones, other side of the world, all kinds of different things. But our worlds kind of collided when you came up with this brilliant idea of the LinkedIn Masterclass for Ukraine. So for anyone that wasn't on LinkedIn at that time or didn't come across it, talk me through how this idea came up. And then I'm going to talk about how I got into it and how the impact of that has just been amazing, because this is what I think the real power of LinkedIn is. You changed people's lives in other parts of the world, and I just think it's insane. So tell me, what happened? How did
So,
it come
well,
about?
when the Ukraine war first started, I felt helpless like everybody else, and I've been trying to avoid the news since COVID, because I just found it super stressful, and I prefer to stay in my happy little bubble, or I get crushing anxiety as an empath. I had happened across something on the news, and there was a woman and a son, and they were sort of huddled in the corner of a train station, hungry, cold, all of this. And I was just like, oh my God. And all I could see was me doing that. This woman looked like me. Her son looked like my son. It could just be us. And I woke up on the Saturday. I had a really bad night's sleep on Friday night and just felt absolutely full of anxiety, couldn't sleep. It was just really, really plagued my mind. And I woke up on Saturday morning. I was like, I need to do something to feel less helpless. And I think I messaged my friend Chris. I was like, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something. And I set it up on Calendly to sell tickets for a 2-hour webinar. And I hadn't even asked any experts. I was like, I'm just going to do it. And if they don't join, I'll do it myself. So I put the tickets on sale, and I think they were already selling before I'd confirmed who was going to be part of it. And I posted about it. And I think you DM'd me saying, if you want another expert, I was like, yep. And I'd messaged John Asperian and Andy Foote and Richard Vanderblom and Ariel Lee, and they were all like, boom, in straight away. And I knew that the price point that I chose was totally accessible to everybody. Like, it was £30. So what's that, like $60
Yep.
So it was accessible to everyone. It was tax deductible on their business. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it. And within I think it was 2 or 3 hours, Chris Lomas from Hope 4 had like £2,500 in his hand spending to help Ukraine, because the money came straight into my like Stripe account, and I thankfully had it in my business account. So without even waiting for it to transfer, I was like, boom, send it over, send it over, send it over. And by the end of the week, by I think day 3, it had reached £20,000, which was, they were buying microwaves and paying for heating and buying food and supplies and clothes and tumble dryers so they could wash and clean the dirty clothes that the refugees were in. And then it spiraled even more. And we ended up with 900 people buying tickets, 950 people. And we had to get a company in to run the tech because it spiraled out of control. And then we got some PR people involved who got us all over the internet, like business news websites and on local radio. And then a couple of companies saw our plight, and Bid Food, which is like a manufacturing company, donated, I think it was initially like £25,000 of food and water. And then a haulage company donated the transport to get it over to Moldovan border. And then they became a corporate, they got corporate sponsorship of over £50,000 off the back of the publicity. And I think Chris messaged me recently, and I think he said the total amount of funds and donations that they'd received had hit nearly £200,000 in food and money and supplies, and all off the back of like one little idea that my friends supported, and then LinkedIn just embraced, and we rode the wave as much as we could. And of course, I got the comments of she's just doing it for publicity, which was painful, but still expected. Even though I'd like actually actively said to the people on the news, like, I don't want anything. Don't link to my website. I can't help if someone Googles my name, but don't link to my website. There was no backlinks. There was nothing in the press about like my business or anything like that, or any of our businesses, other than that we were LinkedIn trainers. So we were quite avid about that, because that wasn't the point of it. But trolls will be trolls.
Yeah,
So
it was an interesting experience for me because, I had the same thing. People, they would go, "Oh yeah, that's nice. You're doing that, raise that money thing. But oh, you're so lucky to be on stage with Leah and John and Richard and Ariel." And I was like, what? No, 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 no. Let's like rewind this. I found it really hard to deal with because I was like, do you not know me? Like I am busting my chops
don't you
helping
know
people
who
all the
I
time.
am?
Yeah, I was like, hello, I'm, like, okay, fine.
I'm the company
I
games queen, don't you
I
know?
am not worthy. Like, it was just craziness. But the greater good was something that I know has had such a huge impact and continues to have an impact. I stay connected to Chris because we're just like two little twins. And I love seeing that the work they've done. But I think that was only possible because you'd built so much trust from your followers and your connections, that it was the trust that we had as other trainers, that this was real, it was legit, it was going to make a difference, and it was coming from the right place. And I think this is where people miss, you can do things on a scale that's bigger than just what one person can do. And that is the real opportunity that I think LinkedIn is in general, is when you start getting out of your own little space and start seeing the opportunity. Like the fact that we're on opposite sides of the globe having this conversation is not lost on me every single time I have these conversations with anyone in the world. I'm like, is it not just crazy for the cost of some internet? Like we can do this and collaborate and rise, all together. So I am, just so grateful I got to be a part of it. I'm even more grateful that we got to make a bigger difference to people that we'll never know, we'll never meet.
It was such an amazing experience as well, wasn't it? Like actually on it was so emotional with the videos and Chris talking and saying thank you to everyone. It really did feel like being some part of something truly special. That will be the highlight of my career for some time, I think.
Look, I cried. I don't know how many times. Every time I watch that video, I cry because you can see the direct connection between my skills as a company page expert, yours, LinkedIn, getting people to build their personal brands, and everybody else that was on that stage. But the people that bought a ticket, there were people that bought tickets for other people. There were people that helped promote, that did posts, that liked, that commented. Like there is so much good that happened beyond just those of us that presented. People, like you said, Alexandra volunteered to run the event for us when it grew legs. And I just remember, just being blown away that there was so much good in the world,
Yeah.
and it was coming from our skills on LinkedIn, and our community on
The
LinkedIn. So
power of, yeah, the power of community. Like, there are so many things that are possible when you build a community of people that care about your success as much as you care about theirs. And for me, that's the real thing that I love about LinkedIn more than anything else, is having that community around you. And some people will say, oh, well, you turn your computer off, they don't even care. I'm like, they do. They text me. If I don't post for a day, they're texting me, they're messaging me on Instagram, are you okay? People do
mm,
care and they do notice. And unless you actually get involved, you'll not experience it. But when you do start to experience it, it's properly magical. So
yeah, absolutely. So I think properly magical is, the way I would describe it as well. Every show, I ask my guests to give the audience one tip that they think would make a difference if you want to go and take some action today. So if someone's listening in, they're inspired, they want to come and be this force for good, where do they start on LinkedIn? What's one thing that they can do today?
one thing that they could do today, go and send a message to somebody whose content you absolutely love and tell them that you love it and why. I think that's just a really, don't all send one to me. That's very sweet of you, but send one to somebody else, because I get them every day. But go and send one to a smaller creator whose content you enjoy, that you've never told them that you really enjoy it. Just send them a message and tell them why you enjoy their content, because that will help inspire them to continue to create content and know that somebody's actually listening. Someone who's not getting
Absolutely.
loads of big engagement.
Absolutely. And it will make all the difference. I promise you that that message will stay with them for the rest of time. I don't think that any of us ever forget those little
I
messages
keep
that
them all in my
come in.
smile file.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same. So I the way that I would also do that is I leave recommendations for people on their profiles, because my language of love is words of affirmation. So I love them. So I figure that everybody else out there loves them. But it's one of those things that we often don't think to go and do. So this is my friendly reminder to people that, if you can send them a message like Leah suggested, that and let them know, that you enjoy their content, encourage them to keep going. Alternatively, go and drop a recommendation so that they also get to find out that way. So, Leah, it has been fabulous. I've gone slightly over time. I appreciate you hanging around for a few
That's
extra
okay.
minutes. And yeah, to everyone that's joined us today, go and be a force for good. The world needs more of it. And if we can be a part of it, just let us know. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.